Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jayam Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shatya Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Vacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Vashatyadesha Tarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 87, Prayers by the Personified Vedas. Text 50, translation purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Siamo in Srimad Bhagavatam, versetto verso testo versetti, prego di commentare tutti i
So this is the last verse in the chapter. Different meter, so we can use the well-known melody of the morning. No problem. The little space is there, so we know when to change it. Little help there. Let's see. Yosyot prekshaka adi madhya nidaneyo vyakta jiveshvaro
Yosyot prekshaka adi madhya nidaneyo vyakta jiveshvaro.
Let's try that again. Yosyot prekshaka adi madhya nidaneyo vyakta jiveshvaro Midaneyo vyakta jiveshvaro Yaksrishtvedam manupravishya Rishinai chakre purashastita Yaksrishtvedam manupravishya Rishina chakre purashastita Yang sampadya jahatya jam Anushayi supta kulayam yatha Yang sampadya jahatya jam Anushayi supta kulayam yatha Tam kaivalya nirasta yonim Abhayam jayed ajasram harim Tam kaivalya nirasta yonim Abhayam jayed ajasram harim Yosyot prekshaka adi madhya nidaneyo vyakta jiveshvaro Yosyot prekshaka adi madhya nidaneyo vyakta jiveshvaro Yaksrishtvedam manupravishya Rishina chakre purakshastita Yaksrishtvedam manupravishya Rishina chakre purashastita Yang sampadya jahatya jam Anushayi supta kulayam yatha Yang sampadya jahatya jam Anushayi supta kulayam yatha Tam kaivalya nirasta yonim Abhayam jayeda jasram harim Tam kaivalya nirasta yonim Abhayam jayeda jasram harim Yaha who? Asya this universe Utprekshakaha the one who watches over Adi in its beginning Madhya middle Nidhane and end Yaha who Avyakta of the unmanifested material nature Jiva, and of the living entities.
и на живите същества.
Ishvaraha, the Lord.
Богът,
Yaha, who,
който
Shrishva, having sent forth.
изпратил
Idam, this universe. Anupravishya, entering.
влязъл
Rishina, along with the Jiva soul.
заедно с душата,
Chakre, produced.
създал
Puraha, bodies.
тела,
Shasti, regulates.
управлява
Taha, them.
тях,
Yam, to whom?
на когото
Sampadya, by surrendering.
като се отдават,
Jahati, gives up.
изоставят,
Ajam, the unborn material nature.
нероден, материална природа,
Anushai, embracing her.
прегръщайки,
Suptaha, a sleeping person.
спящ човек,
Kulayam, his body.
тялото,
Yatha,
ята,
as.
като
Tam, upon him.
на него,
Kaivalya, by his purely spiritual status.
с неговото чисто духовно състояние,
Nirasta, kept away.
държи надалеч,
Yonim, material birth.
материалното раждане,
Avayam, for fearlessness.
за безстрашие,
Dhyayet, one should meditate.
трябва да медитира,
Ajasram, incessantly.
постоянно,
Harim, the Supreme Lord Krishna.
върховният Бог Кришна.
Translation: He is the Lord who eternally watches over this universe, who exists before, during, and after its manifestation. He is the master of both the unmanifest material energy and the spirit soul. After sending forth the creation, he enters within it, accompanying each living entity. There he creates the material bodies and then remains as their regulator. By surrendering to him, one can escape the embrace of illusion, just as a dreaming person forgets his own body. One who wants liberation from fear should constantly meditate upon him, Lord Hari, who is always on the platform of perfection and thus never subject to material birth.
Превод. Богът, който вечно се грижи за тази вселена, който съществува преди, по време и след проявяването им. Той е господарят и на непроявената материална енергия и на душата. След като се проява този свят, той влиза в него, придружавайки всяко живо същество. Там той създава материалните тела и остава като тяхен управник. Отдавайки му се, човек може да избегне прекрътката на илюзията, също както спящия човек забравя за собственото си тяло. Този, който желая освобождение от страха, трябва постоянно да медитира върху него. Бог Хари, който винаги съществува от своето съвършенство и никога не е подвластен на материално раждане.
Purport. By glancing upon the dormant universe at the time of sending forth the Jiva souls into creation, the Supreme Lord provides all their necessities.
Поглеждайки спящата вселена по време на изпращането на душите в творението, Върховния Бог им осигурява всичко необходимо.
For those living entities who are fruitive workers, he provides the intelligence and senses needed to achieve success in material work.
За тези живи същества, които се интересуват от плодовете на дейността, той осигурява интелигентността и сетивата, необходими да постигнат успех в материалната дейност.
For those who seek transcendental knowledge, he provides the intelligence by which they can merge into the spiritual effulgence of God, thus attaining liberation.
За тези, които се стремят към трансцендентално познание, той осигурява интелигентността, чрез която да се слеят с духовното сияние на Бога и така да постигнат освобождение.
And for the devotees, he provides the understanding that leads them to his pure devotional service.
А за преданите, той дава им разбирането, което ги води към неговото чисто предано служение.
To arrange for these varied facilities, the Lord impels material nature to begin the process of universal evolution.
За да осигури всичко необходимо, Богът потиква материалната природа да започне процеса на вселенската еволюция.
Thus, the Lord is the nimitta karanam, or effective cause of creation.
Така Богът е нимита каранам, или ефективната причина на творението.
He is also the upadana karanam, the ingredient cause, in as much as everything emanates from him and he alone is constantly present before, during and after the manifestation of the created cosmos.
Това е също упадана каранам, или материалната причина, доколкото всичко, което еманира от него, е самият той и постоянно присъства преди, по време и след проявлението на космоса.
Lord Narayana himself states this in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. This is second canto, chapter 9, verse 33.
Самият Бог Нараян казва това в Чатушлоки Бхагаватам, във втора песен, 9 глава 33 песен.
Aham evasam evagre nanyan yat sadasat param paschad aham yat echachcha yovashishyeta sosmyaham. It is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation and when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead.
Аз, върховната личност, съществувах преди творението, когато нямаше нищо друго освен мен. Нито имаше материална природа, нито причина на това творение. Това, което сега виждаш, съм също аз, личността на Бога. И след унищожението ще остана само аз, върховната личност.
Primeval Maya and the Jiva soul may deserve the respective titles of Upadana and Nimitta, causes of creation in a relative sense, but the Lord, after all, is the origin of both of them.
Изначалната Майя е живото същество, Джива, душата може да заслужава съответните названия на Упадана и Нивита причините на творението в относителен смисъл, но Богът в края на краищата е изначалният източник и на двете.
Until he chooses to accept the mercy of the personality of Godhead, the Jiva soul is Anushayi, helplessly bound up in the embrace of illusion.
Докато ми избере да приема милостта на Върховния Бог, Джива или душата е Анушаи и безпомощно обвързана от прегръдката на илюзията.
When he turns to the Lord's worship, he becomes Anushayi in a different sense, fallen like a rod to pay obeisances at the Lord's feet.
Когато прегърне богожанието на Бога, тогава става Анушаи в различен смисъл, като пада като пръчка, за да отдаде почита си в взете на Бога.
By that surrender, the soul easily casts illusion aside.
Чрез такова отдаване душата лесно отстранява илюзията.
Even though the liberated soul may still seem to be living in a material body, the connection he has with it is only an external appearance. He pays no more regard to it than a sleeping man pays to his body while busily engaged far, far away in his dream world.
Макар освободената душа все още да живее в материално тяло, свързването с него е само външно изглеждащо, защото повече тя не го зачита повече, отколкото един спящ човек обръща внимание на тялото, което, докато той се намира далеч в света на сънищата.
One gives up ignorance by abandoning false identification with one's material body.
Човек изостава невежество, докато успее погрешно да се идентифицира със своето материално тяло.
Sometimes one can achieve this state only by a severe effort that takes many lifetimes. But in some cases, the Lord may show special consideration for one he favors, regardless of how little credit that soul may have earned by regulated practice.
Понякога човек може да постигне това ниво чрез огромни усилия, които отнемат много животи. Но в други случаи Богът може да покаже специална милост на тези, към тези, които е благосклонен, макар и те да имат недостатъчна заслуга, която е постигната чрез регулирана практика.
In the words of Sri Bhishma Deva, Yammiha nirikshya hatagata svarupam, those who simply saw Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after being killed. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.39.
По думите на Шри Бхишма Дева, тези, които са просто видели Кришна на битката при Курукшетра, са постигнали техните изначални форми, след като са загинали.
That even demons like Aga, Baka and Keshi were liberated by Lord Krishna without having performed any spiritual practices is an indication of his unique position as the original personality of Godhead.
Дори това, че дори демоните като Ага, Бака и Кеши били освободени от Бог Кришна без да се извършвали никакви духовни практики, е показателно за неговата уникална позиция като изначалната личност на Бога.
Knowing this, we should put aside all fear and doubt and give ourselves fully to the process of devotional service.
Знаейки това, трябва да изоставим всякакъв страх и съмнение и да се отдадем изцяло на метода на преданото служение.
As his final words of commentary on this chapter, Srila Sridhar Swami writes, Sarva Shruti Shiro Ratna Nirajita Parambujam Bhoga Yoga Pradam Vande Madhavam Karmi Nam Rayoho. With their effulgence, the crest jewels among all the Shrutis offer arati to the lotus feet of Lord Madhava. I pay homage to him who bestows the material enjoyment honored by material workers and who also grants the divine connection with him, prized by those who bow down to him with reverence.
Заключителните думи в коментара на Шридхар Свами към тази глава са: с тяхното сияние най-стъкнатите са всички шрути отдават арати в лотосовите нозе на Бог Мадхава. Аз му отдавам почита си на него, който дава материално наслаждение на тези, които го почитат с материалните си дейности и също дава божествена връзка с него, възхвалявана от тези, които му се покланят с почит.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also takes this opportunity to offer this humble prayer.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur също се възползва от възможността да отдаде тази смирена молитва.
He Bhaktad Varyayam Chanchat Baladi Rauti Vo Manak Prasaram Labhatam Yasmad Vishishtak Shveva Nathati. O devotees, this poor creature is standing at your doorway, waving his tail and barking. Please let him have a little prasadam so that he may become exceptional among dogs and get the best of masters as his owner.
О, предаде, това бедно същество стои на вратата ви, въртейки опашката си и лайки. Моля ви, позволете му да приеме малко прасадам, така че да стане изключение сред кучетата и да приеме най-добрите господари, да бъде прият от най-добрите господари като собствен.
Here the Acharya makes a pun on his own name.
Тук Ачаря се шегува със собственото си име.
Vish, Ishtaha, is exceptional.
Vish Ishtaha означава изключителен.
Shwa, Iva, like a dog.
Shvaiva, като куче.
And Nata, Ati, having a master.
Anatati означава да има господар.
It depends how you look at it.
Зависи как го тълкуваме.
Normally, Vishwanatha means the Lord of the universe.
Като цялото името означава Вишванатха е господар на Вселената.
Like, Vishwa is the universe, and Natha, like Gopinatha, is the Lord of the Gopis. So Vishwanatha is the Lord of the universe. But if you look at it as Vish and Shwa and Natha, then it becomes an exceptional dog having a master, like something like that.
Ако го изтъкувам по този начин, като виж това означава едно специално куче, което има господар.
So, such is the perfection of Vaishnava humility, and thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace.
Такова е съвършенството на един съвършенството на Вайшнава смирението. Така завършват поясненията на смирението, да се обидва на Негова божественост.
So the translation again, He, the Lord, is the Lord who eternally watches over this universe, who exists before, during, and after its manifestation.
Богът, който вечно съществува, вечно се движи за тази вселена, която е съществувала преди, по време и след нейното проявление.
He is the master of both the unmanifest material energy and the spirit soul. After sending forth the creation, He enters within it, accompanying each living entity. There He creates the material bodies and then remains as their regulator. By surrendering to Him, one can escape the embrace of illusion, just as a dreaming person forgets his own body. One who wants liberation from fear should constantly meditate upon Him, Lord Hari, who is always on the platform of perfection and thus never subject to material birth.
Който желае да се освободи от страха, трябва постоянно да медитира върху него, Бог Хари, който винаги е на нивото на съвършенството и никога не е обект на материално раждане.
Any questions or comments?
Въпроси или коментари?
This is the last verse, and there's different things in the purport, but if not, I have something which is there, but before I go there, if I go there, we have the opportunity to maybe we'll go in a different direction. It's different subjects here. So, if everything is very clear, then okay, we go to some other place.
Как да разбираме, че хора, които се занимавали сериозно с духовна практика, не са постигали нивото на хора, които въобще не са се занимавали, само защото са били на полето на Курукшетра. И понеже когато Кришна е бил там, те са напуснали и той им е дал.
How to understand that those who never practice any spiritual activity and just by being in the battle of Kurukshetra they attain.
So I hoped you would not ask that question because how to understand it? Well, then you can. One may think, why not become a demon? Oh, you have to become a special demon. The ordinary demons are just smashed by material nature and they don't go anywhere else, just going down. But so this is actually indicated in that purport. So there's the word, it's an indication of the unique position of the original personality of Godhead. That was the explanation, and we think about it. It simply means the Lord is Svarat, he's completely independent. The Karma Mimamsa philosophers, they have this idea that the Lord is obliged to reciprocate as we expect. I'm doing my work, I'm doing my duty, I do my practice, and I'm getting a certain result.
Философите и кармонанси твърдят, че Богът е длъжен
Right up there.
Да изпълнявам всичко каквото трябва. Аз извършвам дейността, извършвам дълга и трябва да получа съответните резултати.
Right? So if you're very pious, then automatically you go to heaven, and if you're sinful, you go to hell.
Ако си благочестив, отиваш на райските планети, ако си греховен,
But
отиваш в ада.
if the Lord wants, if you're sinful, you can go to heaven, and if you're pious, you can go to hell.
Но ако Богът желае да си греховен, може да се издигнеш от висшите планети или да отидеш в ада.
But in 99.999% of the cases, this doesn't happen. So, I mean, it's called Kripa Siddhi. It's perfection by just mercy. You don't deserve it. But there's always some other explanation generally. Some story in the Puranas why this is happening and why this is not happening. I mean, we can understand whoever was on the battle of Kurukshetra and Krishna was there, definitely it's not an ordinary person. Even to be a demon that Krishna personally kills is not an ordinary demon. And as we know, in many cases, like Hiranyakashipu or Ravana, they are actually devotees who play the role of a demon. Like mock fighting, Prabhupada compares it, like a rich man may keep a wrestler. Yeah, he pays him, and then whenever he feels like it to work out, then he wrestles with the wrestler, and maybe sometimes he's defeated.
Като неистинска борба, както Прабхупад дава примера с богатия човек, който иска да понякога се забавлява или да си поддържа формата и плаща на боец, който да се бие с него от време.
But he likes it because he pays for it. So the wrestler is obliged to sometimes maybe throw him down. But generally the wrestler is paid to be defeated. Even if he's stronger, he has to, at the end, submit to the one who pays, right? But he enjoys the fight, like, when Varaha was fighting with Hiranyaksha, we know that sometimes apparently he was in difficulty. And all the demigods, they are behind that. They're almost falling off their, airplanes, wherever they are, because they're so much in anxiety. Or when Nrsimhadev defeats Hiranyakashipu, he doesn't do it just immediately. He plays with him. He plays with him like Garuda plays with a snake. Or what was it? Like a mouse? He lets him escape. And then all the demigods again, oh no! And then they, please kill him immediately. It's too much, we get a heart attack out of anxiety. Right, in fact. Health infarct. So it's up to the Lord. I mean, He is the supreme controller. And He can, this is called here a favor, special favor, or as we said, mercy. He can do anything. But it's like this Kripa Siddhi. It's a very special not ordinary, it practically never happens, just once in a million.
Това се нарича критика.
Or less.
Специално вилност, но това се случва много рядко, 1 на милион или по-малко.
And the comparison Prabhupada gives is you get a title from the university without studying.
Същото пример, който дава Шрила Прабхупада е как получавате почетна титла от университет без да се учили.
So, how many times does that happen?
Колко често това се случва?
We have one in Bulgaria.
Right, 1-2 in the whole country.
Има един двама в цялата.
But they did something to even deserve that.
Но дори и те са направили нещо.
You will not get it,
Ти няма да получиш.
and she will probably not get it. You have to pass the exam. Yeah.
Трябва да се вземат изпитите.
Without studying, which means without practice, no result.
Без да учите и без практика няма да има резултат.
So anyway, that's the understanding. Anything else about this? Yeah.
Maharaj, how to convince the doubting people that the Lord is person?
Wow.
Как го видим самия автор, мисля, че Бога е лично.
Because here in the beginning it said that here Krishna provides the material energy,
Yes.
and the personal for the devotees.
Very difficult, huh? Yeah. So, well, good. This leads me to where I wanted to go. Thank you.
Темата, която искам да
We go to Chaitanya Charitamrita.
отивам в Чайтаня Чаритамрита.
Chapter 6, which we will have soon on the 18th. The glories of Advaitacharya.
Това е 6 глава от Ади Ива.
And we will have now today just one verse, which has a long purport. So we only can have a few things. It's actually 14:15. While you're looking, I will do the Bengali. Maya yoiche dui angsha nimitta upadana, maya nimitta hetu upadana pradhana. Purusha ishvara yoiche dvi murti hoya, vishva shrishti kore nimitta upadana laya. Got it? Just as the external energy consists of two parts, the efficient cause, nimitta, and the material cause, upadana, Maya being the efficient cause and pradhana, the material cause, so Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes two forms to create the world with the efficient and material causes.
Също както външната енергия се състои от две части. Действената причина нимита и материалната причина упада. Майя е действената, а прадхана е материалната причина. Така и Бог Вишну, върховната личност, приема две форми, за да създаде материалния свят с действената и материалните причини.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are two kinds of research to find the original cause of creation.
Има два вида изследвания, за да се открие изначалната причина на творението.
One conclusion is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-blissful, eternal, all-knowing form, is indirectly the cause of this cosmic manifestation and directly the cause of the spiritual world, where there are innumerable spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, as well as his personal abode known as Goloka Vrindavan.
Едното заключение на върховната личност, съблаженият вечен и всезнаещ, е индиректно причината на космическото проявление и директно причината на духовния свят, където има безброй духовни планети, наречени Вайкунта, а също и личната му обител, наречена Голога Вриндаван.
In other words, there are two manifestations, the material cosmos and the spiritual world.
С други думи, има две проявления, материалния космос и духовния свят.
As in the material world, there are innumerable planets and universes, so in the spiritual world, there are also innumerable spiritual planets and universes, including the Vaikunthas and Goloka.
Както в материалния свят има безброй планети, така и в духовния свят има безброй духовни планети, вселени, включително Вайкунти и Голока.
The Supreme Lord is the cause of both the material and spiritual worlds.
Върховният Бог е причина и на двете, материалните и духовните светове.
The other conclusion, of course, is that this cosmic manifestation is caused by an inexplicable, unmanifested void.
Другото заключение, разбира се, е, че това космично проявление е причинено от необяснимо непроявена празнота и пустота.
And Prabhupada simply says, this argument is meaningless.
Този аргумент няма смисъл.
Now, let's go down, because it's such a long purport. We go down a little bit. Let's see where we go. Well, anyway, so how you say, the summary is that what we see, the void, that's one way, of course. The other conclusion is that it's simply caused by some floating gases that explode, or a chunk that explodes. That's another. It's very similar.
Всичко произхожда от нищото или пък от някаква кондензирана материя, която експлодира.
Well, that's the Big Bang theory, which some already doubting, the more younger, it's typical, the scientists, the generations change. So then they have another theory. We talked about the string theory. It's even crazier than that, so I'm not able to explain it. You can look it up in Wikipedia. There's some explanation and some image of how they think it works. But basically, like materialists, they will say matter is eternal.
Но материалистите казват, материята е вечна.
That's another, like some may say it's all caused by some unmanifested void, shunyavadi.
Тези, които се наричат шунявади, може да кажат всичко произлиза от непроявената пустота.
And others may say something which looks like different, but it's ultimately the same.
Други може да кажат нещо различно, но всъщност накрая е същото.
Like if we talk about matter, it's in Sanskrit it would be called pradhana.
Когато говорим за тази материя, на санскрит се използва думата прадхана.
Here it's actually talked about, and in today's verse also, this was the whole point, that there is an efficient cause, nimitta, and a material cause, upadana, apparently two different causes.
И както и днешния стих беше обяснено, че има два вида основни причини. Едната е действащата, другата е причината на материалната или съставките.
And this chapter, and I think basically this chapter actually, it also talks about this other expressions, the immediate cause and the remote cause.
Друг начин да се обясни е като се наричат тези причини непосредствената и отдалечената причина.
And then the example is giving of the potter and the wheel and the clay and the result which may be a pot.
Пример, който дава е гранчарят с колелото, което се върти и глината, от която се произвежда определен съд.
So the immediate cause of the pot is the clay, right?
Непосредствената причина на самия съд е глината.
And one may even say, well, the wheel, because it turns, is also involved. But the remote cause is the potter. Without the potter, the wheel will not turn and the clay will not be put on the wheel and it will not be given a certain shape. Right? That's our experience. That we know that by experience. You can have the wheel and the clay and just leave it there and hope that one day, by evolution, it will just start to turn and the pot will come.
Може да има колело и гледа и да ги оставим там в вечността, да се надяваме един ден с еволюцията, то да се завърти и да се прояви се.
Probably you can wait your whole life.
Може да чакате цял живот.
It will not happen.
Няма да се случи.
But the materialists, he will say, yes, that's a very short span of time. So it has to be millions and billions of years, then it happens.
Материалистът може да каже, понеже е кратко времето, това няма да се случи, но ако говорим за милиони или милиарди години, това се случва.
That's the only explanation they have. There's no other explanation. Because you don't accept the potter. There's no potter.
Не приемат крънча. Не може да има.
But you have a pot.
Но имаш съд.
So what's if there's no potter, but the pot is there,
Ако имаш съд, но
it
няма
just
крънча,
evolves over time.
трябва да кажеш, просто с времето еволюира.
And what can you say? You know, how can you prove, like really prove? You cannot prove. I mean, you can think, you know, are you stupid or can you understand? Then if they're stupid, then what can you do? So basically that's the materialists, they have this, that's the only explanation they have. That matter is there, it doesn't come from anywhere. Or if it comes from nothing, somehow. But it's, you know, and just evolves.
Материята не произлиза от никъде, просто я има или пък се появява от нищото и след това еволюира.
So, if you speak about a creator, that's actually the point. There's no creator.
За това става дума. Те не приемат, че има творец.
Like the potter is the creator, right? The potter makes the pot.
В случая с примера с
And he has
гранчар,
the matter, the material, which is the clay.
има материал и материята, което е
So here we have pradhana and maya. Also, there's the material energy without having any forms, and then it takes shape.
И тук двете причини, които са обяснени, едното е самата материя прадхана и мая, която го задвижва или ги кара да приемат форма.
And the devotees, the Vaishnava, the theists, let's say, they understand that a living entity, living force, which is personal, conscious, individual consciousness, shapes things.
Те твърдят, че всъщност жизнена сила, която е личност, тя оформя материята.
That's also our practical experience.
Това също е потвърдено в опита ни.
We understand ourselves as living beings.
Ние считаме себе си за живи същества.
Unless you want to argue against that, which Mayavadis may do, or Shunyavadis, you know, it's all appearance, it's all just imagination, it doesn't really exist. But, you know, if we accept there's something that is living and it's a person, that we know creates things. And you can take anything we see, except for what we call nature. You know, because we don't see that there's somebody doing it, we think it's automatic. That's the difference. You don't see the potter. You just see the pot. But the logic is, because we know nothing appears unless there's some consciousness behind it. So we know that if there's a house, if there's some instrument, if there's whatever you may be, somebody has put their intelligence there and designed it and created it. It doesn't just appear, never. But we see that apparently trees and plants and whatever, it just comes out by itself.
Как може да твърдим това, че растенията, дървета, животните просто се появяват от само себе си?
But even there, I mean, if you walk around, especially here, because it's quite natural, there's many trees who are dead.
Но дори тук,
ако
разгледаме, защото тук е по-естествено природ, може да видим, че има дървета, които
They just stand there.
Те просто стоят.
And they don't grow anymore. Other trees, living trees, if you regularly go, I mean, if I come back after one, I see one that was like this, now it's like half a meter, or, you know, depending on the plant. Some grow very fast, like you can practically observe bamboo, how it grows, day by day.
Някои тези, които са живи растенията, може да ги видим как те си променят размера, някои дори ден за ден като бамбук.
Yeah, like in Malaga we have bamboos.
Малък,
And then you see, you know, oh, it's a new shoot is coming out, like this high, and you go the next day, and you see, definitely you see a difference. It's already has grown 10 centimeters or whatever.
И виждате как всяка издънка, която се появява, всеки ден вече е с по 10 сантиметра повече.
And if you have a dead bamboo next to it, you can go after 10 years and maybe it's still there, but maybe not even that, because just by the influence of time, it has fallen over and maybe has already disintegrated. So that's our experience, that time, if people say it takes a long time to evolve, it's just the opposite. The longer time has its influence on anything created, it will destroy it.
Но опитът ни тук в този свят е обратният, това да кажем, че с времето се сътворява, времето всъщност разрушава всичко, което е създадено.
So you have that dead tree standing there, as I say, it doesn't grow anymore. But not only that, in time, it will actually fall apart. It will disintegrate, become powder practically, wood powder, and go back into the earth. From dust you came, and to dust you return. It's true. The body is made of, you can say, dust, earth, material elements, and the elements will return to the water goes to the water, and the bones become earth and whatever.
Тялото може да кажем, че наистина отпръсна правилно и когато умре и се разпадне, ще се върне.
So therefore, the explanation we find, there is a difference between spirit and matter. That's the whole point. And the materialist doesn't accept that. There is no spirit. What they, if we accept there is life, it's just a different stage of evolution of matter. That's what they think. So, what can you say? If you cannot see it, pashana pina pashyati, then nothing you can do. Yeah, you can give the arguments as I did now, but somebody who doesn't want to just say, yeah, okay, but I don't believe that. And then worse than that are the so-called spiritualists. Who will, say there's a spirit, but it's impersonal. And then the conclusion is, if we see person and all these things, it's just illusory. Appearance. Right. Like the air in the pot. It appears to have a certain shape, but if you break the pot, the air merges with the air outside, and you don't exist anymore, but you become everything, so no worry.
Както въздухът изглежда, че има форма в съда, но когато щупиш съда, повече го няма. И ти ставаш всичко, така че не се притеснявам.
Yeah. I mean, this, in Malaga, we have one so-called center where once a year they used to come, the Radhaswami group, Mayavadis.
Малага има такъв център на Радhaswami групите, които...
They came from all over Europe. They used to come in the summer, come together for a week. Anyway, they had a pamphlet, and some of them always came to our temple because it's only a few kilometers away to take prasadam, to eat. Very practical. Well, somehow I got this pamphlet, and on the, it was some explanation about this philosophy, and at the end there were questions and answers, and somebody expressed this, worry or was disturbed about the idea that I will lose my identity if I become perfect.
И накрая на брошурата имаше въпроси и отговори. Единият въпрос беше израз на притеснение, че какво ще стане, ако загубя индивидуалността си.
The individuality you will lose. You merge. So then the answer of this, the master, was, what is the loss? You become everything. So, from being some small thing, which is not really a fact, then you merge and you become everything. So, be happy about it. You're becoming more than you were before. So, what can you say? Yeah, we are laughing, but they are really. I mean, they're serious about it. Like the Sadhguru thing, I mean, it's unbelievable, And what's the other one? Oh, I had this. That's what they think. Last point, because we're already over time. Let me see where. Yes, this is. Let me see where it is. Osho. Wow, really wow. I mean, unbelievable. So,
Worse than Sadhguru.
I don't know. I mean, what is worse? Can you say what is worse? But I hope it's here now. Oh my God, where is this? Because I want to have otherwise I have to go online. It's very quick also to talk about his philosophy. His 10 commandments, they call them. His 10 most important teachings. So, let me see where they are. The 10 commandments. Here we go. Be prepared. To become a nothingness is the door to truth. Nothingness itself is the means, the goal, and attainment. He's on YouTube, so somebody asked, what is the goal of life and how to achieve it? And then he sits there, and he goes like this, he looks at his hands, and he says, all my life, I've been telling you, there is no goal. Just for fun, you go on YouTube, you look, Osho, goal of life. Immediately you'll have it, 3 minutes only.
3 минути.
Yeah,
Той казва, цял живот ви казва,
I practiced to be able to do this, so it's not so easy. It goes like almost like slow-mo. And then the next thing he said was, life itself is the goal. Something like that.
Самия живот е целта.
Okay. But actually, to become nothingness, that's the door to truth.
Но също да станеш нищо е врата към истината.
Oh, my God. So anyway, so what can you do with people like that? You can try to explain it, but generally they're very much determined not to be a person. Just be nothing. It's much easier. No responsibility. Yes, a lot of. I mean, tons of Otherwise, must be. Otherwise, it will have no effect. I mean, must be a sugar bomb to wake somebody up like that. Anyway, so this is going on, and people believe it. What can you do? Either you're a materialist, it's the same thing, practically. It's all material. So in the end, what is there? Nothing. It's all matter. And therefore, yes, there's another one. There's no creator. Another one is not good to see how you there's no need. There's no God. And he gives the same. Actually, I don't know who was first, Carl Sagan or him. I'm not sure. Maybe Carl Sagan. He was living way before, I think. But more or less the 70s. They're more or less on the same time, because he gives you exactly the same argument. Because he says, those who believe in God, they say he is not created. He is eternal, right? Anadi Adiago. God is no creator. Because otherwise, he said, if you accept the logic, then the question comes, and it's a typical question, who created God? But because those who believe in God, they say, no, he's not created, he's eternal. So then, he says, so why do we need God? Existence is eternal. Life is eternal. We don't need a creator. And that's exactly the same argument. He said, Carl saying, the universe is eternal, matter is eternal. So what do we need a creator for? But then the argument is, we don't see matter being active by itself. Never. Anyway, then when he's about life, then he says it's pure consciousness, whatever that is. No, ultimately, it all comes down to Mayavadi, Advaita philosophy, and that's it. All right. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Gauravani ki jai.